you feel as though Dr. York abused you mentally in the sense that he tried to totally dictate every aspect of your life, telling you what to do, what not to do, where to go, where you couldn't go, and all of these things, because these things have been alleged as well?
No, Dr. York never dictated my life personally, never told me where to go, you know, nothing like that. So, no, we was free to think or do whatever, you know, you know, we have a brain of our own, you know.
So you all don't seem like robots.
No. I mean, we're normal. No, we're not. No.
And another thing, Brother Williams, that we also like for the viewers to keep in mind is that the way that they painted the way the property is, or whether our sovereign land is, as it being this whole occult, and they even use terms compound, and you immediately flash back to Waco, Texas, of everybody being separated and no familyism, and it's just you work and do this for me. But like the young lady said, Mrs. Richardson, she's married and has 2 children. It's like that's family as far as I'm concerned. She's a normal young adult.
You live on the compound,
Yes,
correct?
I do.
Yeah, and so it's, you know, where do they feel that they're going to get away with leveling these charges of, you know, well, everybody's separated, nothing happens unless it gets his approval, and everything that she went through was the approval between her and her husband.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
And like I said, people, they're just utilizing a group that may do things a little differently, may study a little more intense, and may be a little more vocal about how they feel about certain things, but utilize that and to try to turn it against them. And it really comes down to money. You asked the question in the last half of the show, what's their motivation of why Dr. York? Why Dr. York? Because Dr. Malachi Z York planted 476-acre plot in the middle of their Reynolds plantation. And I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news, but that is one of their hottest spots in the Euro-American community of fundraising and golf resorts, of where they do a lot of their rallying. As a matter of fact, last week, President Bush.
Hello, do we have a call on the line? Keep telling me that people are calling in, but they don't seem to. Hello? Hello, do we have a call on the line?
I'm trying to talk. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Go ahead and talk, my brother.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got a question because I want to get an understanding of just who Malachi York is. Is this the same brother that called himself Imam Isa in the 80s? Malachi York is. Is this the same brother that called himself Imam Isa in the 80s?
Yes,
in New York City?
Yes, he'll use that name, Imam Isa, which just means the leader of the congregation during the school of Islam as an Ansarullah.
Okay, now, all right. During that time, his community was called Ansarullah, right?
That's correct.
And he said that he was a direct descendant of Muhammad, the prophet.
He was a direct descendant of al-Mahdi, who was his great-great-grandfather of Sudan.
Okay, and his bloodline led all the way back to Muhammad, as I understood.
That led to the Mahdi, not all the way to Muhammad, but to the al-Mahdi, al-Muhammad Ahmed, which was his great-great-grandfather.
Okay, and now you're saying that he says he's a Native American. I'm just trying to understand something.
I understand, and it's an excellent question. What people don't realize is that with that lineage, that went through his father, you understand? But through his mother is where the Native American Yanasi link was from. And within the Native American culture, your descendancy goes through the woman. It doesn't pass through the man. That's a Eurocentric thinking when you have Henry VIII, Henry IX going and passing through the male. But scientists have proven through a cell called mitochondrial DNA that it's the woman that passes that on. So based on the Native American culture, and when he started getting more familiar with his roots there, that he started identifying with that side of his family. It's nothing really changed. It was just one side of his family linked back into Sudan and Africa, and the other was here as a Yamasi Native American Moor.
Okay, now is he a Christian now?
Yes.
So he went from Ansarullah, which means the helpers of Allah, through all these other I noticed a lot of other pages. The reason I'm asking this question because I communicated with him quite a bit during the time that he was a Muslim leader.
Okay, good.
And now, I noticed the changes that he went through with the guys wearing the cowboy hats and then changing the outfits and stuff. So now I'm saying, how did he come from being Ansaru Allah, the helper of Allah, to now he's a Christian?
Okay, real simple. First of all, he hasn't changed. It was the information that he was expressing at the time, and if you were real familiar with him during the time
I've got quite a few of his books.
Right, good.
He wrote do you
have the book, Is Jesus the God of the Quran?
I may have that book.
Okay, well, when in that book, you'll see that when the Muslims were referring to Allah in the Quran, that a lot of those references were actually talking about Jesus. And now that sounds like a Christian to me. All he did was propagate the Messiah and the return of the Messiah when he comes. But even more importantly, I think the real issue is that regardless of his beliefs, whether he believes in
that has nothing to do with his guilt or innocence.
Regardless of whether he believes in the Prophet versus his plant, he still has rights according to the Quran.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's really the issue at hand.
I understand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to imply what he's guilty or innocent. I'm just trying to figure out who he was. Now I understand. I appreciate it. I just want to know if that's the same guy.
Thank you so much, caller. Do we have another caller on the line? Do we have another caller on the line?
Good evening, Andre.
How are you doing, Steve?
How are you, sir? You have an interesting group on tonight. I just don't know how you always do it.
You know what? I'm just good.
You are good. In fact, I don't want to digress, but your last show when you had Cynthia McKinney on, and you started talking about Denise Majette, and she shouldn't run against Cynthia McKinney, and I can't believe it. The inside line, according to the inside line, you did it again, sir.
You come on, Steve. Now, you saying that the next day Denise Majette decided to run for Senate because of our little community television show?
I am saying it was the straw that broke the camel's back. After she listened to that, she made her decision and announced the next day. You know you ran Bob Barr out of the race, fighting him on this show. You invited Bob Barr on to tell people why he's not black. And he ran away from the Senate because he can't stand it. Well, I think you do a wonderful job.